Blog Talk Radio.
Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. We gon' fight, we gon' shout for our rights without a doubt. We gon' love, we gon' sing, we gon' rise and do our thing. We gon' stand and join hands, united as one, we're in demand. Hear our voice, young and old, fight the lies, let the truth be told. Power in the people. Power in the people.
What's up, fam? It's the Bill 720. Unfortunately, my co-host, he's not feeling too well today, so probably going to have to cut this show a little short and continue next weekend. But I definitely wanted to read a couple of quotes so you can think about, and we can continue the discussion at another time. Let's see here. The topic for today is, why do most descendants of Africans today remain ignorant of their culture? Well, that's a interesting topic and discussion. And we'll definitely be getting into that a little deeper next time. But yeah, let me go and read a couple quotes. I like to read a quote from the book called The ISIS Papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And in her preface, let me just read it, and then you can go ahead and interpret what the doctor says. Today we are witnessing a more subtle, systemic approach to white genetic survival. The destruction of black males now is indirect, so that the black male victims themselves can be led to participate in and then be blamed for their own mass deaths. However, through close examination and an understanding of the ultimate objective of white supremacy as collective white genetic material, the steps to massive black male death can be charted. The chain of events begins with the denial of full-scale employment and advancement to black males so they cannot adequately support themselves, their wives, and their children. In turn, large numbers of black male children grow up without their father's guidance. This leads to frustration, depression, and failure in school. Once this atmosphere is established, drugs are placed deliberately in the black community. The drugs are then used to, quote, street treat, unquote, black male frustration and depression. The high prices for which drugs are sold provide the black male population with the illusion that finally they are beginning to make some money and to share in the, quote, American dream, unquote. And the paragraph goes on. I'd also like to read on the back of Neely Fuller Jr.'s book, The United Independent Compensatory Code, System, and Concept. He goes on to make a couple of points, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is about 9 points on here. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, there's 9 points that I'll be reading. So you can go ahead and just. Racism has done more to promote non-justice than any other socio-material system known to have been produced or supported by the people of the known universe. No major problem that exists between the people of the known universe can be eliminated until racism is eliminated. The fear, frustration, malice, and confusion that is caused by racism retards or prevents all constructive activity between the people of the known universe. The only form of functional racism that exists among the people of the known universe is, quote, white racist supremacy, unquote. The people who have the ability to eliminate racism do not have the will to do so, and the people who have the will to do so do not have the ability. Regardless of all that has been said or done, the quality of the relationships between white people and black people is and has been a total disaster. Justice is better than racism. As long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and to help produce justice is a waste of time/energy. Each and every victim of racism should minimize the time and effort spent doing anything other than thinking, speaking, and acting in a manner that helps to eliminate racism and helps to establish justice. Each and every person should seek to do this every day in every area of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. All right, let me see if I can read one more quote here. All right. Yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and stop there so everybody can just think about that and marinate on it. It's very interesting how when we go through life and somebody, or necessarily maybe not somebody, may speak to us, or we might run across some information, we might read some information, we might listen to some information via TV, online, etc., radio, however you come across that information, and then your computer, your brain, your mind then downloads the information. Now, once that information is downloaded, obviously we as humans can either believe or we can know about that information. And we could tell it to ourselves if it's factual or non-factual. Or like religion, most of the religions, especially Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, we can just believe. We can just wait and download that information to our brain and say, is this true? Is it not true? Well, in my humble opinion, when it comes to the African American or the African community and the descendants of Africans, I just feel that oftentimes when we say we've made strides in this country, I would say that definitely yes, we have. Now, I think we all know the atrocities that have happened since the beginning of our first here. Let me just start over on that. Before Africans were invaded by a group of individuals who came into Africa and changed the culture, and then obviously once those African people came over to the shores of America and their religion, their culture, their way of life was totally changed. Their language. And, oftentimes when we think about this and we understand that this has happened and we come across this information, I know it's frustrating, maybe for some of us, maybe not. Maybe people just want to remain ignorant and they just really don't care. They just want to go through life and be happy, be blissful, and die. And that's just the honest truth. I understand and I get it. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go and seek this information. What's that saying? Seek and ye shall find. And I think once somebody who's a descendant of African descent searches and pulls that information in their computer and then ingest it and then kind of thinks about it, hopefully that will then start turning some wheels, in their brain to unlock basically our ancestral DNA code. Now, I know there's some individuals that say, well, how can African Americans come together and unite and build a culture? Let's face it, we've already tried numerous times, numerous ways, by a lot of ways. And I don't even really want to get into how we've tried, but I think everybody knows. And if you don't know, just read the history of America. I don't want to go into it. Is it important? Yes, of course, but I don't want to waste anybody's time. I just want to get right down to the point. And what's the point? The point is no matter what infrastructure is built, if the mind in itself is not ready to make that revolutionary change, once again, if the mind is not ready to make that revolutionary change and to ingest one's culture, then no infrastructure will ever work. Let me repeat. No infrastructure will ever work. Ever. You can have an economic plan all you want. You can have land. You can have as much money there is that the world can offer. You can have technology. You can have whatever it may be. If the people's mind is not ready to ingest some parts of their African culture or their identity, then basically nothing is going to work. And I know sometimes we as Africans here in the Western Hemisphere question or have questions like, where am I from exactly? Where do I go? Well, even though Africa, I believe, right now has over 250 languages, if that's correct. Obviously, go ahead and double check that. Just in my humble opinion, I would just say pick one. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but pick one. Because once we understand that, or let me rephrase that, once we go back and do the research and then we find out that there's a lot of commonality between the ethnic groups, the original ancient ethnic groups in Africa as humans, then we would understand that their cultures, which is our cultures, have a lot in common. You know, the belief in family, the belief in nature, the belief in higher power that's within us, the belief in the mother, the great mother, the divine mother, the divine goddess is essential and obviously the divine God, the divine male, is essential to continue the human process. Now, in the destruction of black civilization, Mr. Chancellor Williams does a great job in breaking down, let's see, basically he breaks down the issues from an African-centered perspective and an historical perspective from, according to his book on the front cover, from 4500 BC to 2000 AD, which obviously is a long and, basically a long process where we came from one identity to another identity. So that's about it. I mean, we'll definitely be getting into it a little bit further. I just wanted everybody to ingest it, to think about it. Thank you once again for listening. Appreciate your support. And just go ahead and do what you gotta do. Live life, but always think. All right, fam, we out. Hotep. Peace. And I'm out.